Hey guys, White Castle here. Drinking out of my White Castle cup. Anyway, when I was having issues with tenting and sleeping in a tent on the ground, I was having issues sleeping in shelters. I just couldn't do it. And so I kind of felt that like one of my last resorts was switching to a hammock, and I was going to try it out. At first I was going to get like a cheap one from like Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that, and I kind of felt that I just didn't, I've already spent enough money in backpacking, and I just kind of thought, you know, I'm just going to dive in and I'm just going to do it, and if I hate it, at least I'll be able to sell it or something, you know. And so one of the problems with that is like I already had my gear dialed in, I already had trips planned. I was already, you know, basically UL. I had a 8-pound base weight, maybe a little bit less. I was like a little over 7.5 pound base weight. That was before I added an umbrella, which was like 8 ounces. So I was around 8 pounds or whatever it was. So this is my Dutchware Chameleon hammock. I have my Underquilt hooked on there. Tarp is up, and so basically I ordered the hammock, and then I just got, those were cheap, that's a ridgeline organizer. So in that there's a couple pockets, and I put my phone in there at night, my ditty bag, like basically like my hiker wallet, you know, that kind of stuff, and you know, just a couple other things that could fit in there. I also have this peak loft. I feel that is necessary. I love that thing. Basically I put my shoes in there, and you know, just keeping in mind that this setup, with this setup here, I can virtually have nothing on the ground if I need it to be that way, and that's because I have that sidecar, and that zips in to the hammock system, and I put my quilt in there, so basically I can get in my hammock with nothing in the way, and then once I crawl in, I can pull out my pillow, my quilt, get in that. It's very easy. Also in the sidecar I put like my raincoat, my puffy, my stuffed sacks, you know, any like my buff, anything else that I might need. So this is the beetle buckle suspension. That's a Dyneema webbing with a Dutch clip. So that's how I hook it around the tree. And then this is the beetle buckle, titanium, very lightweight, very strong. Whoopee slings I think are a little bit lighter. However, when I was going for the setup, I just wanted to have something that was just quick and easy to get up, and not having to worry about knots and that kind of thing. My underquilt is Enlighten Equipment, and this is a 20-degree full length underquilt, and basically it has these lines, and you get like a little carabiner, and you just hook that in there. When I had spoke with them on the phone, they said the best thing to do when you're like a new hammocker is to get the full length. That way your full body is enclosed, and you don't have to get used to like right away off the bat kind of fiddling with it, trying to move it back and forth once you're in it. I actually like the full length. I also bought a 40-degree, which is the shorter length, for the summer, because after I'd used this a couple times, I'm still going to continue to use it for when it's colder, but for that, you know, dead of the summer hiking, I got the 40-degree short, where I would use like my sit pad on my feet to insulate those. So at any rate, this is my original underquilt. The only problem with Enlightened Equipment is when I had first got this, it was very tight. The lines were very tight, and I guess you could say this is my only complaint with that company, is I didn't know that. I didn't know that going in. I just thought that that's the way it was. And it wasn't until I was ordering my second one, I called them and I asked, hey, like, why is my underquilt so tight? And it was because of these lines here that hook to the continuous loop there. This hammock is an 11-foot hammock, and their bungee cords are pre-cut for whatever it is, like a 9 or a 10-foot hammock, and that's the way they do it, and that's why it was tight. And then the guy told me, like, yeah, that's the problem. He's like, we can ship you some new bungees that are longer, and then you just have to like pull the old ones out and then fish the new ones in. And I was fine with that, but I just think that it does kind of suck that it doesn't really say that on their website. And it seems like nowadays everybody's getting like an 11-foot hammock or 10 or 11 feet or whatever, and they just haven't adapted, I guess, to the new sizes. So that's my only complaint about that company. I think that they should have like a box that you check when you're ordering, asking like, hey, what's the length of your hammock, and we'll send you new straps or new bungee cords, and then you just fish them through. Because or just make them long, just do the 11-foot and then cut them down or whatever you got to do. But I just think that there needs to be some clarification on that. Other than that, it's very lightweight, it's very comfortable, I love it. And that was already made. It was in stock, had it in 3 days. On the tarp, I spent a little bit more for the tarp. I wanted it to be as light as I could possibly get it. And so I did go with the Cuban fiber tarp. That one is made by Hammock Gear. I really like it. It's really light. It's, I don't know, it's like 6 ounces. It's so light. The ones that Dutchware makes, they're a lot cheaper. It's like the xenon or whatever material it is, like a sil poly material. They're like $100. They're like 13 ounces. This tarp was, I think, somewhere around $250. It's a 12-foot long tarp. I just went for the extra foot in length, just to make sure that I'm covered. Right there's the tarp is just strung up. A lot of people like to sleep like that, and then, for just in case if it rains. I just like to have my tarp out, so I rarely sleep with it like that, especially when squirrels are dropping acorns, and it just becomes a real pain in the butt when it's hitting you like on your bug netting and stuff. So yeah, I rarely have it like that. Maybe just, when I first set up at camp, I'll leave it like that, and as I'm getting chores done, then I'll eventually just put my tarp out. Standard rain protection mode. Here is a standard porch mode with trekking poles. This is additional rain protection mode. Take your umbrella, and then I put the arm through the 2 tie outs like so, and then I take my Vargo dig tool as a stake, carabiner hooked to it. That keeps it pretty tight, and then I can throw stuff underneath there if I need to keep packed dry or whatever situation is. So when I got the hardware for my tarp, I got the fleas or whatever from Dutchware Gear, and they also have tarp worms, which I think a lot of people use. I think the tarp worms are probably a little easier to undo, but I like these better. I think they're a little more secure, and then I'll show you the other reason in a second here why I like them. So right here you can see the tarp is in like the fold over mode. I've slept in it like this before, just like as a windbreak. Like that backside was kind of like the wind was coming up a cliff. up on a ridge, and so I was using that as a windbreak. But the reason I like the fleas is because when you do want to flip this over, the fleas have the little hook on it. So let me zoom in here. You can actually get that hooked right on the line, and so then that way, couldn't get a very clear shot, but so you have that hook right there, and you can hook it right on your line, and that's just like a easy, quick way to get that set up in that mode, without any hassle or any knots. So one of the things I do when I get to camp is, I set up my tarp, as if, it was in rain mode. And you see you can see here on this stake, I have some of these carbon core stakes from MSR, and I just have my line pre-attached to it. And in that way, I'll set up my tarp. So I have this one there, the stakes in the ground, and I have them all ready to go. Yeah, so I think the reason why I went with Dutchware gear is I looked at a bunch of companies. There was another company, I'm just not going to mention any names, but I contacted one company, and it was just kind of funny. It was just like, I had a lot of questions, but a lot of these companies, they don't have a phone number, and they just want to like deal throughout email and that kind of thing. And I emailed the guy. It was a smaller cottage company, and he had just kind of said, I can't do a phone call, and I'm a conversation type of guy. I had a lot of questions. I wanted to make sure that I was getting the right things. I just didn't want to screw it up. I just didn't have the time and just all this extra money to like be ordering the wrong shit, and then and then having to get something else, and I just really wanted to nail it down. And he had just kind of was talking about his products in the email, and this and that and the other, and it was like speaking Greek to me, really no clarifications, no explanations. And he had mentioned Dutchware's site a couple times. He said, yeah, check out his site too. You can look at hardware and this and that and the other, and suspensions that are lightweight. And I just kind of thought, you just threw me to the other company, and anyway, I looked at his site. I called them, and I spoke to his wife, and very nice woman. I called her a couple times, just with questions and just making sure. She was very helpful, very informative. Just can't say enough about that company. And they had the hammock in stock. Everything was made in stock. I ordered it, had it in like 2 days. They actually invited me to go to their place because their shop is like 40 minutes from my house. She invited me, although I know they are kind of e-commerce. It's not necessary, but she also invited me to like a hammock hang to come and check out, like a bunch of the hammocks, which was very nice. So yeah, I mean, she definitely gave me a lot of options, gave me a lot of information, which led me to what I have. I ordered the Underquilt directly from Enlighten Equipment, although Dutchware does sell them. You can actually order from Dutchware and get everything you need. However, I knew I was going to be ordering elsewhere for the tarp at that time because Dutch was not making Cuban fiber tarps at that time. So, and then aside from that, there's a lot of other great companies out there, and that a lot of the hammocker people are talking about, but for probably about half of them out there, I'm just real sorry to say, but if your website looks like it's from like 1989 or 1992 when like the America Online first started, it just like, I'm not going to buy from you. I don't know if you're going under. I don't know if you're going out of business, and so that's what some of those websites look like. That they've just been there forever, and then you just start to feel like, if I placed an order from this, like, are they ever going to get the order confirmation, or am I going to get, or is this just up and you know, like my money's just gonna get lost. And you know, that's just kind of like sometimes the way that you feel when you're looking at like an outdated website. You know, is the company still actually in business, type of thing. So Dutchware nailed it. They have a great website, easy to navigate, very helpful with the information on there. Also had the phone number. Um, at this point, I really have no reason to buy any other gear from anybody other than Dutchware and lighting equipment and hammock gear. Three great companies. And as far as my base weight, it went up a little bit. I'm like just under 10 pounds, but I can't refuse to sleep. It's so comfortable. I love everything about it. I just think that more people should try it. So you know, that's basically where I'm at with that. And yeah, I'm kind of sitting here looking at it like, you know, I wanna take a nap. So, but yeah, so that's my setup, and yeah, it's really nice. I really love it. It makes me like get more excited about going hiking. You know, it makes me, this hammock, it makes me feel like I'm not just going to hike just to get the miles in. That I'm also going to get to just completely relax and have a really good night of sleep. So that just makes everything so much more enjoyable.